chances are pretty good that you're a good man surviving in a bad world. And that means you have to do bad things. I can see, and I'm sure you can see, as you get older, you could see in the past, oh, if this went this way, then I would have been much less disagreeable. I would have been much less of an asshole. I would have been much less distraught, lonely, this and that. Anything, really. But that's just not the way that it went. And that's because this is definitely a bad world. that's that's definitely not a doubt in my mind. I just take the position that you can't really change it, and you can't even necessarily change yourself. So let go. That's more so my prerogative. But I digress. I know for myself, at least, that I care too much about others. And I don't, what I mean by that is not that I just care indiscriminately. What I mean by that is, I think what it would be better to say, so I apologize, what would be better to say is I have the potential to care a lot about others. But others do not deserve that care. There. That's probably a rather eloquent way of saying it, but I probably could have said it in a little more simpler of a way, but I digress. Bear with me, I don't have a script. So, I have a great deal of empathy, and most people would never see that. Most people will never know that. Most people will think the opposite, actually. Most people think I'm an asshole. And I am an asshole. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely an asshole. And I wear that on my sleeve. But on my other sleeve, I have a great deal of care for at least one person. That would be a great friend of mine. Um, but I only have the one. That's it. I only have the one. So, but I can see how if people acted in a different way, that I would give them this care. And because of my age and my experience, it's very difficult for me to show that care to others without them first having to not directly ask for it, but act in a way to deserve it. And it's kind of like the cart before the horse situation, because it's like, how are they going to want to do that without getting a little taste of what I have to offer? But what I have found is when I give people a little taste of my care, they don't want it. Or they abuse it. They do want it, but they abuse it. I think the latter is more so what happens and has happened in my life. That I will show up, I will care, and I will not receive just compensation for that. And I know some fucking idiot is going to say, well, was it really good if you didn't get a reward out of it? Look, man, that's not how the world works. You can't. I think I did this. I think I said something along those lines, and the society doesn't. The society owes you, and that is that this notion of society doesn't owe you anything. Okay, then society is not owed protection. Society is not owed labor. I hope it fucking dies. Like this world is transactional. I don't understand why people accept that for literally everything in their life. No matter what country you're in, your life it exists and resides and is beholden to transaction. But the moment we talk about interpersonal relationships between humans, all of a sudden the transaction's off the table. All of a sudden it's, oh, you owe me this and I don't owe you that. It's all that. Which is still a transaction, but just not a fair one. it's just like, I don't understand how people don't see that. And I guess I can understand it in a sense, because I will say that I probably didn't realize how transactional relationships with anyone are until probably it really solidified probably the last couple of years. And again, I really must emphasize reading the book, The Value of Others by Dr. Orion Taraban. While that book is specifically about heterosexual relationships between men and women, that still applies to basically, so many things in there apply to basically any relationship of any kind, platonic or romantic or anything really. Even enemy relationships are transactionary, right? I'm going to punch you, and that makes me feel good, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to get into psychology here, or at least not to that degree. So chances are you're actually probably a pretty good dude, and you're just living in a really fucking shitty world. Because I know I am. I know that despite what anyone might think of me, despite of any bad deeds I have done, survival is not. Survival is for the fittest. Not the nicest, not the most good, not the most natural. you know, in a natural world, you would be living in a community of like-minded people who would share very similar, if not exactly the same beliefs as you, who you would interact with on a daily basis. Maybe not literally 24/7 or anything like that, maybe not in any big way, but even just, I know so many people, me included, benefit just from seeing somebody and just saying hi to them. Especially someone you know, and just saying hi to them. That's my favorite part of church that I go to every week, and I'm not a religious man. I just go for the community, and I make that clear to anyone who asks. I don't advertise it. I'm here to engage with the community. I'm more than happy to support it and engage with it. But my favorite part of church is that after the first song, we all stand up and we all greet each other. That's it. All you do is greet each other. You just go around, you say, "Good morning, brother. How are you?" It's all that shit. And it's just a lovely experience. I don't even know a lot of these people's names. A lot of them I don't know. They probably know my name, but they a lot of them I think do know my name, and some of them I still don't know their name. And I've been living here for like 9 months, so it is what it is. But that's if you had that life every day. I only have that life Sunday, right? But if I had that life every day, man, the world would be a different place, wouldn't it? I think it would. I think it would definitely be a different place, but we don't live in that world. You know, we would rather live in a society, seemingly, not that it's our choice per se, but it is definitely the choice of normies, that's for sure. The choice of the masses, for sure. Because the masses could easily just change the rules on any given day of the week, really, but, they're too stupid and lazy to do that. But I digress, and probably too evil. Probably too bad, evil, whatever word you want to use. But we could live in that world, and that's the world that I think most humans lived in for a long time before more modernity came to be. Not necessarily the industrial era per se, although the industrial era is probably the big turning point for a lot of things in terms of crowded cities and less interpersonal dynamics, at least to some degree. But we all know the Infinite did a bang up job on that one. But yeah, I would say not to judge yourself for anything because at the end of the day, we have to survive, and survival comes in the form of food. Survival comes in the form of socialization. That's why I can't work jobs anymore. The last job I had, I worked it for less than 3 months, and beyond other reasons, I mean, I had like physical reasons, like my body couldn't do it anymore. Specifically my hands, but I don't want to get into specifics here just to avoid doxing and things like that. But the point is that I couldn't deal with coworkers. The coworkers had beliefs that were not mine. They had mannerisms that were not mine. They had social etiquette that was not mine. And I imagine that's true for a lot of this because I was not born where I currently live. I moved here. I moved halfway across America from where I was. So, there's that. But there's a lot of people here that do share beliefs that I share. We may come to that belief from a different perspective in the sense of like where we got the belief from, but I digress. It's not so important. What's important is the values that people share, for sure. And so, I guess I don't really have a nice gift wrap package for an ending here. I think I've kind of said everything that I wanted to say here. Don't think ill of yourself. Don't think there's something wrong with you. There probably isn't. I mean, there might be, but there probably isn't. It's just that you have to live in this shit. You have to live in the shit, and you shouldn't have to. I don't think so. I know I don't want to. Um, but I don't make the rules. If I made the rules, I could probably fix society for most people. I mean, some people would have to go, but but I could probably fix it in like 3 days. But it's only if I didn't get shot beforehand. Anyway, boy, this escalated quickly in the last minute here. All right, take care, boys.